Why can't exceptional women find love? This is a question that I have asked myself almost since the beginning of my career as a Feng Shui consultant and teacher, because of the clients that have come to me, and one of the main purposes in life was to find a mate, a good mate for them. I had seen some of the most flawed women, women who were even in some situations petty and unkind, lacking in compassion. They responded really well to the feng shui cures, and they were able to find mates that were really good matches for them, and that were okay with their flaws and who helped them become a better version of themselves. And on the other hand, I have met and worked with these exceptional women who have every quality that would be desirable in a woman for a relationship, and yet they can't find love. They keep making the same mistakes, falling into the same patterns, self-sabotaging relationships that could potentially be good for them, and keep chasing after guys that they know in their heart are not good matches for them. So, what do I mean when I say an exceptional woman? Are you an exceptional woman? And these are some of the characteristics that I have observed over the years on what I would call an exceptional woman. Exceptional women are women who understand that they can do something about their lives and that they don't have to live by the whim of fate. These are women who either are in control of a lot of aspects about their lives or know how to be in control. They want to be the drivers of their own destiny. Exceptional women do not conform to traditional definitions or descriptions of what women are like. So, exceptional women may be very successful in their careers, or they may be entrepreneurs, or they may actually be making a living from a profession that is not typical or not conventional. Some of these exceptional women are in professions that have traditionally been considered masculine, like being a builder, for example, or an engineer. Exceptional women dare to explore different ways to live and different ways to be. Exceptional women are usually more educated than their counterparts, and this doesn't mean necessarily that they have a diploma, a college or university diploma, but that it could also mean that they are relentless students and they self-educate. These are women that are constantly wanting to learn new things. Exceptional women are often registering for lots of courses, for example. Exceptional women are independent and usually financially independent. Now, this may not be true of every exceptional woman that I have met, but I have been most curious or intrigued by the exceptional women who were financially independent and in addition to all their good traits and still made so many mistakes in relationships. Exceptional women exude an air of confidence and are not slaves to the status quo. And this is one of the most interesting topics that we're going to address today, because I have seen some exceptional women who excel at work, who are very assertive, very independent, and very hardworking, and who would not let themselves be pushed around in the work environment, who, however, lose all their confidence and even their smarts when they are in love relationships. So, we talked about the good aspects of what makes exceptional women, but super smart and proud of it at work, in social situations, many exceptional women act like they don't understand much. They have learned how to be independent in work and business, but not in relationships, and this creates a number of problems, because for a woman who is content with following the traditional roles of being a woman and the traditional roles of a woman in a love relationship, entering a type of relationship where that would be manifest is not going to be a problem, it's going to be a blessing. But an exceptional woman usually does not want to fall into a traditional type of relationship where she's going to be confined to a certain way of being a woman, of being a wife, or being a mother. Exceptional women sometimes dumb themselves down to seem more agreeable to guys. I'm sure if you are an exceptional woman, you either have done this or seen some of your friends do this. Exceptional women often become very emotionally dependent of the guys they date very quickly. Exceptional women know they cannot rely on tradition to engage in love relationships because they are themselves not traditional, but they do not have a workable strategy that they can use to substitute the traditional strategies. Now, why is strategy important? Dating and courtship are games. And even though we use this term game, he's playing games, she's playing games, we call it the dating game, we at some level feel that it shouldn't be a game, that it's wrong for it to be a game, and that people should just be forward and straight with each other in their communication and in their intention when entering a relationship. But that is not reality. Dating and courtship are games. And the game that is being played is the game of selection. When you are sort of testing out, quote unquote, testing out people in order to see if they are good potential candidates for a relationship, you are doing this through something that is a game. And after you start dating this person, you are also going to play games with each other to figure out how compatible you are, how happy you could be with each other, and how successful you could be with each other. These games allow people to figure out if they are a good match before committing for life. But even after you are married, some aspects of the marriage are still going to be like a game, because there is always competition in a relationship. There's competition for time, the time to share together, the time that you keep for yourself, energy, emotions are also a part of this. Now, a game can be healthy or a game can be unhealthy. A game can be played cleanly and also by cheating. So you want to make sure when you enter a quote-unquote dating game or a relationship game that it is a healthy game for you. Now, what is a game made of? First of all, for a game to be a game, you have to have two sides, and this is something that a lot of exceptional women do not understand, as we will see later when we look at the 5 top mistakes that women make when dating. If you do not understand there are two sides, you are not going to protect your heart, you are not going to protect your time and your previous relationships, and you are going to stop being yourself, the person that the guy you are dating was attracted by. A game also has barriers, things that you cannot or will not do. Like, for example, if you're playing a game of soccer, you cannot touch the ball with your hand unless you are the goalie, right? But you can touch the ball with your feet, with your knees, even with the shoulder and the head. And there are also purposes. The purpose will be, in the case of soccer, to get the ball through the goal. In basketball, it would be to get the ball down the basket. In volleyball, it would be to get the ball to fall on the floor instead of being picked up by somebody on the other team. So the purposes, the goals, are what you seek to accomplish. So choosing the right game is very important, because you need to make sure that the other person is also seeking to accomplish the same things that you are seeking to accomplish. And many times, and this is why this is so much a game, is because many times when two people enter a relationship, what they seek to accomplish is very different. But the difference between a failed relationship and a successful relationship is if these two different purposes can be reconciled. For example, a man may enter a relationship, or a woman may enter a relationship thinking that they just want to date, they just want companionship, but they don't want to get married and have children. But that may change, and it would change if deep down this man or woman do have this as a lifetime goal. Like, they may be entering this relationship thinking they're too young to get married, but they do see marriage as something they want to do in their life. So they may not think that the purpose of being in this relationship with this particular person is going to lead to marriage, but their mind can be changed during the process of playing the game if they find that this is a healthy, loving game for them. So choosing the right game is important. Now, if these differences cannot be reconciled, if you want to have a marriage and children, and the other person has decided that he doesn't want to have children at all, for example, then that might not be a good game for you. Exceptional women are usually more sensitive and perceptive because they have had to figure out a lot of things on their own or by themselves, because they're not following the rules of society as they were established for the previous generations. They have to become more aware of the world and more aware of their own emotions and their own differences. Exceptional women do not want to settle for the same kinds of relationships the women in their mother's generation had. And when exceptional women have relationship issues, they are masters of self-sabotage. Because they are so sensitive, so smart, and so perceptive, even an exceptional woman has a deep down unconscious desire to not be in a relationship, to not get married, to not establish a family. Whatever they do consciously, they are going to self-sabotage. And this will be true for any person, but a woman that is not as aware as an exceptional woman might not be so good at self-sabotaging her own goals. So an important question for you to ask is this a game I can play? Play only the games that you know are good for you. And this doesn't mean that you always need to only go out with guys who want to have a long-term relationship with you. Because, say for example, you are going through college, you just started college, and you really don't want to get married right now or have a serious relationship. Maybe all you want is companionship for a few months or a couple of years. But you are not looking into the future with a very quote-unquote serious intentions, and that is okay. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be sincerely involved in a relationship that you don't necessarily want to be the relationship for your whole life. However, you need to be aware that any relationship you enter could potentially become the relationship that is the most important in your life. If you have already seen that entering certain patterns in relationships with certain kinds of guys are bad for you, then you need to learn how to avoid that. For example, some of the women with whom I have worked, they were always constantly looking for womanizers. Because many times womanizer guys, they are very charming, and they have a skill where they can make a woman feel very beautiful, very important, and very unique. The problem is that they do this with every woman they meet and they're interested in. So you need to learn to understand the patterns of how you seek a relationship, the patterns by which you become interested in a guy, and the patterns by which you interrelate with a person that are not healthy for you. It's important in the dating game, quote unquote, to cultivate a chess mind thinking 7 steps ahead. So a mistake that I see a lot of exceptional women make in relationships is that they feel a strong emotion or they feel a fear about their relationship going sour. And then they think, oh, I'm going to do this and this is going to fix it, without thinking of the future consequences. One of the things a woman might do is try to cause a guy to become jealous. For example, they felt that the guy maybe is not too much into them or not so interested or playing hard to get, and then they go and flirt with somebody else in front of him. And that might have the immediate response of the guy all of a sudden picking up his interest because somebody else is interested in the woman. But in the long term, this guy might decide this woman is not a good match for him because she very quickly went from dating him to flirting with somebody else. So you need to think 7 steps ahead or I know it doesn't always have to be 7, but you do need to think ahead. What are the long-term consequences of the actions I want to take? And is this action that would cause a reaction that would be flattering to me, to my ego right now, would it be conducive to a better relationship in the long term? The goal of a dating game is to end up in the same team, but that is not how it usually starts. So you need to remember you are on different sides. And as long as you are dating, even if you are engaged, as long as you are still on two sides, you need to keep yourself centered and to think yourself as a me who is very interested in another me, in another I. But don't give everything away until you know this other person is committed. And I know marriage doesn't always mean commitment, and this doesn't mean that two people cannot be committed just by living together and not getting married. And some people can be very committed to each other without living together and without getting married. I have met and worked with the feng shui of couples who were really good couples and they were together for many years, but yet they wanted to each keep their own home. So it is possible, but there was a very strong emotional commitment, and they made a point to spend a lot of time together and to go on trips together, and this worked for them. So, and this is one thing about exceptional women, is that exceptional women sometimes will have to create a new kind of relationship that works specifically for them. I'm gonna share now with you some case histories of exceptional women who were quote unquote unlucky in love, and obviously the names and some details have been changed in order to protect their privacy. But the gist of the story is true, and I think it can be very helpful. And we're gonna do this as we explore the top 5 mistakes women in love make when dating from the feng shui perspective. Here you have my website, fengshuiforus.com. If you arrived at this webinar by entering your email address in response to an ad, then you are going to be sent an invitation to join my email list, where I share lots of good feng shui knowledge. If you got here because maybe a friend shared the direct link with you, I am still going to place at the very bottom of this page an opt-in box so you can enter your email and join my email list. But if you already enter your email, you don't have to enter it again. If you, for whatever reason, found this video on YouTube, then I'm going to place a link that takes you to my website where you can join my mailing list. So mistake number 1 is this thinking, if I hate who he hates, he will love me more. And so this is a mistake that a lot of women make, that when they start dating a guy, they start feeling unkind feelings towards any person that he is upset with. And the guy will come to them and he will complain about a boss, about an ex-wife, an ex-girlfriend, and she will immediately agree with him because she feels that that brings her closer to him. And many times the woman will make enemies out of the people that he has become estranged from. This is not a good idea because you need to go through life making friends, not enemies. And one of the dumbest thing a woman can do is to borrow somebody else's enemies or take on somebody else's enemies with whom she doesn't personally have a history. So there's this story I wanted to share with you about this woman who was in a relationship with a guy who had an ex-wife, and he was very unhappy about some of the things the ex-wife did and how the ex-wife was fighting to keep full custody of the 2 children they had together. And this woman started posting on Facebook and other social media about this situation and being totally unkind to the ex-wife, and buying into a conflict that was not hers. because she thought that this was going to bring them closer, her and her new boyfriend closer. And what happened is that a couple of weeks later, after she had put all these things on social media, he broke up with her. And then she was left with no boyfriend and a new enemy. So women make the mistake of believing anything the guy they are dating says about people he feels have wronged him, an ex-girlfriend, ex-wife, the boss, etc., then become enemies with those people. Before you go through life making indirect enemies, consider these questions. What if he's not telling the whole truth? This can happen. What if he misinterpreted what someone else said or did? That also happens. And if the relationship ends, how might the ill will created with his enemies affect you? So this is a very bad mistake also, because even though the man you are dating may feel angry towards those people right now, there is a possibility in the future he will not feel like that anymore, but he will not forget the nasty things you said about them. And also because he might make the impression that you are a petty person yourself. Mistake number 2, dropping everything for him. The more I do for him, the more he will love me. And part of this is letting go of your own relationships. So you need to keep the focus on your own life, because he fell in love with you, not with his own shadow. When a man finds you attractive, it is because of who you are. So if you lose yourself in him or in the relationship being less of you, doesn't it make sense you will become less attractive to him? And here's where I share the case history with you of this client who started a relationship with a man that was going through a divorce. And even though she knew that it was probably not a good idea to be the rebound relationship for him, he was just too charming for her. And part of his charm was that he had a very close-knit group of friends. Now, the friends seemed to all be happy about him breaking up with his wife. Part of the reason the friends were happy was that this friend was now more available to go partying and going to events with them. Because before this, the time he needed to spend with his wife was in the way of the fun he could have with them. But my client did not realize this in the beginning. And she started dating him, and he was so much fun, and he had such very good friends. They were so much fun too. They did so many things together that she gradually kept letting go of all of her own relationships. And so she stopped calling her friends. She stopped going out with her friends. She separated from her family. Didn't see them as often, didn't call them. And so that his life became her life. And so what happened is that after 6 months, his rebound needs were over, and he did not wish to date her anymore. He wanted to, he had been married for many years, and now he wanted to try out different relationships. He did not want to commit to the first person he dated, which is not uncommon. Now, the problem here for my client was that she had given up everything for him. So she found herself with no boyfriend and no friends. And she was in shock to see that these people who, during the 6 months that they had dated, became so close to her, such good friends of her, were dropping her. And she told me, I just don't understand why they are all leaving me, why they're all siding with him. And I had to tell her, you're comparing a 6-month relationship to a 20-year relationship they have had with him, because these were friends that from high school. And so this is not uncommon for an exceptional woman to want to accelerate the closeness with her boyfriend by assimilating into his life. And it's usually not a good idea. It's not a good idea because most healthy men don't want the responsibility of being at the center of another person's life. Any man may be flattered about it, but that doesn't mean they want that for life. If the relationship does not work out, you will feel like you are left with nothing if you have dropped your own friendships and interests because of him. Do for him only that which brings you joy and which you can sustain in the long term. So it is normal for people when they're dating, when they're infatuated with each other, to want to be with each other all the time and to do things together all the time. And sometimes that means that he might go with you to the opera even though he hates opera just to be with you. And this might mean that you go with him to watch the game at his friend's house because you want to be with him. But if these things cannot be sustained long term, you cannot do too much of them. So if he always goes with you to the opera, for example, while you are dating, and then after you get married he doesn't want to go anymore, you're going to feel betrayed. And the same thing for him. If you've been going to games with him, either to watch the game at a friend's or to actual games, something you hate to do, but you were only doing it to be close to him, then he's going to feel that you lied to him by pretending to like the things he liked and then abandoning those interests after you got married. So you need to do for him the things that he loves but that you also love, and do with him the things that you both love. And sometimes you may make an exception and do with him something that he likes to do but you don't like to do. But you probably also need to be clear about that. You can say, this is not my favorite thing to do, but I want to spend time with you. But I may not come with you to the games every time. This type of honesty in a relationship about what can be expected long term is very healthy. Mistake number 3, being too available. And this, of course, also comes with the infatuation. When you first fall in love with another person, they're in love with you, that you may want to be together all the time. And it is fine to be together all the time if you have the time. But if you are a woman with her own life, with her own interests, you really are not going to be available all the time. So remember to fit the relationship in your life instead of reorganizing your life around the relationship. A love relationship is part of your life, not all of your life. Even after you are married, in Feng Shui, if you look at the 9 life areas, marriage and relationships are one of 9. So it's not all of your life, and you need to pay attention to all of the areas of your life. If you are living a balanced, full life on your own, you are not going to be available every time he asks. If you are saying yes and rearranging your activities out of fear he might not call back or call someone else, is he that much into you? You have to ask, is he worth it? A lot of exceptional women may have self-worth issues because of the way they were raised. They may not have been raised in a home that was loving, where they were made to feel important and valuable. And in a relationship, you do have to analyze your own sense of self-worth, but you need to be objective too, and look at the man you're dating and ask yourself, is he worth it? Being always available may make you appear like you are too eager or desperate, and that is a turnoff. In the early stages of the dating game, that is a turnoff. Going places you don't like just to be with him gives him the wrong impression of what a life with you might be like. We talked about it in the previous slide. If you really are busy, you are not playing hard to get, right? Because you may say, oh, I don't want to play that game of pretending I'm not available, if he calls saying I'm not available, and then staying home feeling miserable. And that's not what I'm suggesting here. If he calls you and wants to do something with you that you yourself would enjoy and you are available, by all means, go. It's not a good idea to pretend or to lie and say, oh, I'm busy, just to try and make yourself more interested. But if you would, for example, have to cancel a work appointment in order to go with him, you need to reevaluate your own values. Because if you are too quickly giving up the things that are important to you for a relationship that is beginning, that is a problem. And if you set up a standard of letting go, giving up of the things that are important to you, and have them replaced with the things that are important to him or the time he wants to spend with you, then he's going to expect that in the future. And here I want to share with you the case history of a woman who was dating a guy who was into extreme sports. And even though she wasn't herself into extreme sports, he went camping with him in order to be with him, because she was, in truth, she was desperate to be with him, and she was desperate to marry him. And so even though she did not practice the extreme sports with him, like she would not go bungee jumping with him, he would go on the camping trip with him, and then he would go bungee jumping. And unfortunately, he would tell his friends that the one thing that he liked most about her is that she was willing to go with him. Now, what happened is that after they got married, sometimes she felt like she should stay home to do laundry instead of going with him on the camping trip all weekend, because otherwise she would get behind with everything for her own work week. And he took this as she had deceived him, like she had lied to him and deceived him in order to get married with him, pretending to be somebody she wasn't. And the truth is, when they were dating, she did want to be with him, doing these things she did not enjoy herself, just to be with him. But once they got married and she got to be with him a lot, she lost interest in going to these events. But unfortunately, he decided that by doing this, she was leaving him free to flirt with other women while he went on these trips. Very bad situation, right? So, mistake number 4 is acting as if the things he does that you don't like are not so bad. And this is something, unfortunately, exceptional women do a lot more than their not so exceptional counterparts. So, I'm going to tell you the story of Lucy, who was one of my clients that was exceptional in many ways. Lucy was, she is very, very pretty, she's very fit, and she's very successful as an artist, which is not an easy thing to do, to actually make a living as an artist. And in the practice of her art, she makes a 6-figure income. And she is also in love with someone who is not an artist himself, but he is in the art world. They know a lot of people in common. And when I met her, they had been dating for 4 years, and none of their relationships knew that they were together. Some of the things that had happened that became permanent is that in the beginning of the relationship, he would tell her that he didn't want their acquaintances to know they were going out because of business reasons. And even though this hurt her feelings very deeply, she acted as if it wasn't so important, and she was okay with it, and especially because she is an artist and exceptional. And she assumed this pose of saying, I don't have the same needs that another woman you're dating might have. I am very independent. I don't need the world to know. I just need for us to be happy when we are together. And she actually probably convinced herself that this was what she believed. And so sometimes he'd come to her place, they'd go out Friday night with friends and pretend not to be a couple. And then he'd stay with her Saturday, and they would stay home. They wouldn't go anywhere. And then on Sunday, they would go to the same Catholic church. And they would arrive separate and pretend they're not together. And I could tell how this deeply scarred her emotionally, 4 years of doing this. Because she established early in the relationship that she did not mind, she did not know how to say it's different today. So it's very important that in the beginning of a relationship, you establish how you want to be treated. If something does matter to you, he needs to know. And so if the guy you are dating does or says something you don't like and you don't give him proper feedback, he will do it again. And you can be sure for that. It's not going to be a one-time thing. If he is late to pick you up and that bothers you very much, I'm not saying be nasty, but do let him know that being on time is important to you. And you can do this very kindly. You can do it jokingly, whichever way you choose to do it, but he needs to know. Do not let your desire to be nice stop you from expressing disagreement or inconformity. Be open to listen to him when you do or say something he does not like. As well, because these are the building blocks of a good, healthy relationship. If you do not know what each other likes, first of all, you're not going to know if you really are compatible. And it's not a good game to play, to walk on eggshells with each other, because you so much desire to find out that you are compatible. It's not a good thing to do. If you get married or move in together, any pre-existing problems will grow larger, not smaller. And this is a mistake many exceptional women make, is to think that the little rough edges the relationship has are going to be resolved once they can live together, be with each other most of the time, and so forth. And that is not the truth. It's getting married is going to put a magnifying glass on all those little pre-existing problems. And so it is a lot easier to address issues while you are still playing the dating game or even the engagement game than after you get married. Mistake number 5 is ignoring the warning signs. And this is a mistake exceptional women make, especially when they have been alone for a long time or when they feel that the biological clock is ticking. They start ignoring things, warning signs that used to be really important for them or that they used to be really aware of. And I'm going to share here the case history of Alice. And Alice is an exceptional woman. She is exceptional in so many ways that some people might feel that life was unfair in giving her so many blessings. Alice is beautiful in a very classic way, and she's beautiful physically. She is a head turner. Wherever she goes, she attracts attention. And she's also very beautiful inside. She's compassionate, she's caring, and she's very, very smart. She has her own business. She's an entrepreneur. She is what a lot of people would call an ideal woman. Problem with Alice is that Alice grew up in a home where she did not feel loved. The interesting thing is that she was very well loved by her parents, but she did not know it. And here I'm going to put a plug for a book that I think all people who want to be successful in love should read, and that is the book The 5 Love Languages. And the story of Alice really reflects this. So the 5 love languages are words of affirmation, touch, gifts, acts of service, and quality time. And Alice's love languages, ever since she was a child, her 2 main love languages were quality time and touch. Her parents had very different personalities to her, and her father's main love language was gifts. He expressed his love by giving her gifts. And her mother's main love language was acts of service. She did things for her. So while Alice wanted her mother to spend time with her, her mother was doing things for her instead of being with her. And while she wanted her father to hug her more, her father was getting her lots of gifts. And so even though she actually was born in a very functional, very loving home, her love languages did not match the love languages of her parents. Now, Alice understands this now since she read the book The 5 Love Languages. She understands this. But her inner child doesn't. And so she feels like there's this hole in her life where she wasn't loved enough. So she is a sucker for guys who are very loving and pay a lot of attention to her. So if a guy is naturally demonstrative, she feels loved. And so what happens is that she feels like she has this hole inside of her that needs to be filled with the type of love that she can receive. So, there's this popular saying that love is blind, but love is blind only at the beginning. And so if you ignore the warning signals at the beginning of the relationship, you are going to have lots of trouble later on. So going back to Alice, Alice was married once to a very warm, demonstrative guy who gave her a lot of time. And part of the reason he gave her a lot of time is he did not have a steady job. So while they were dating, he seemed an ideal match for her because she felt loved constantly by the time availability that he had to spend with her, and by how much he hugged her and kissed her and wanted to be with her. And later on, after they got married, this never changed. She thought this would change, that he would find a steady job, but he never did find a steady job. He was a contractor, and he did the odd job here and the odd job there, but never has anything steady going on. He was not very ambitious, and his business did not grow. And that Alice might have been okay with, because she makes money really easily. And she, being an exceptional woman, she doesn't necessarily need to have a guy by her side that makes more money than she makes. The problem is that he also had addictions. He was an alcoholic and he took drugs. And so it was a marriage where she was very much invested emotionally. She really, really loved him, and it took her a long time to discover that he was an addict and an alcoholic, because he was very good at hiding it. Once she found about it, she spent a few more years trying to help him get rehabilitated, but he did not want to be rehabilitated. So, looking back, Alice can tell that there were telltale signs that he might be an addict, but she chose not to see them, not to see the signs, because she felt so loved by him. Later on in her life, this established a pattern. And the pattern for Alice is that she tends to fall in love with guys who are secret alcoholics or secret addicts, with guys that are really good at hiding it, but are also very emotional and very demonstrative. So after every relationship, Alice can look back and say, for example, when we went to that cocktail party, he drank only 2 drinks, but he drank them so quickly. He drank them as if they were water. And she remembers a red flag racing at that time, and she decided to ignore it. And then there were other telltale signs. But because she was so eager to find this kind of love that felt good to her, she ignored these signs until she was emotionally vested in the relationship, and the breakup was very, very painful for her. So if you see or feel a red flag rising, listen to your intuition, listen to your gut. Follow up your instincts, investigate, confirm. I'm not saying hire a private investigator or become nagging, trying to find out, but do keep your eyes open and your ears interested. Learning about a deal breaker, like in the case of Alice, learning that her last boyfriend with whom she had a 6-month relationship was an addict, that to her was a deal breaker. And it hurt a lot more, because she found after 6 months that he was an addict. This was a lot more painful than if she had learned it after a month or 2. If you do not pay attention to warning signals, you set a pattern of emotional recklessness. And this is what happens sometimes with exceptional women, is that they want to feel, and they want to feel very strongly. And sometimes exceptional women are not content with the simple pleasures of love. They want to feel things very, very intensely. And one way to feel things very, very intensely is by hooking up with reckless guys. And this is itself a reckless emotional approach. And so what an exceptional woman needs to do if she finds herself that she has this pattern is to replace the height of emotion that she has been seeking with depth of emotion, because the depth of emotion is going to eventually give her the intensity that she likes. But trying to get an intensity of that kind when the relationship is just developing can only be achieved if you enter a roller coaster kind of relationship, which would not be a healthy game to play. Selective blindness prevents you from weeding out those candidates that you know deep down will not make good partners. So what is the problem with Alice and with the other case histories that I have shared with you? These women have been entering relationships that were not the best for them because they were eager to love and to feel loved, and because they wanted to accelerate things. And this is one flaw, if you if you will, of exceptional women is that they want to get things done faster than their counterparts might. And they may enter relationships too quickly or recklessly because of these varying reasons that we have explored today. And in every relationship they enter, they leave a part of themselves, they leave time, and they leave energy. And if you think about it, anything else can be recouped, but not time. Time is the one resource that you cannot get back. So especially if you are approaching or have approached an age where you feel that biological clock ticking, you cannot afford to be desperate and you cannot afford to be eager. You need to be very centered in your own energy, and you need to only enter the relationships that really do have potential for you. And one way to do that is to organize your home to support this purpose. And so one thing that we do in Feng Shui is that we look at two things. We look at the master bedroom in a home, and we also look at what happens in what we call the relationship corner of that home. How Feng Shui can help you find love. One of the things that we do first when approaching a Feng Shui consultation where finding a mate is a priority is we help you better know yourself so that you can know who you can love. And in knowing who you can love, you're also going to find out who can love you. By who you are, by what you love, by what you like, understanding your motivations, your needs, and your desires so that you also understand the kind of person with whom you can live and stay together for the long term. Breaking the patterns of bad choices and bad relationships. Believe it or not, these patterns are mirrored in your home. The less than ideal choices that you may have made about relationships in the past are usually appearing in some symbolism you keep in the home. For example, if you have been self-sabotaging your relationships because you believe you should stay single, that shows up in the home. If you have had a pattern of always getting involved with guys that were already in relationships, that will also show up in the home. If you have been unable to commit to only one person because you have a hard time saying no, that will also show up in the home. Setting the intent for a healthy love relationship. We make adjustments to your relationship corner in the home to send out to the universe and to your own deeper mind, what many call the unconscious mind, a request for a happy, healthy relationship. Basically, we are going to work on your relationship radar so that you can identify energetically, intuitively, spiritually, the man that would be your right match. Breaking the patterns of lack of equality. We do this in the master bedroom. Exceptional women, as we had said before, are not comfortable with the traditional values in relationships in marriages that put them in the second plane, where the man is given all the importance and the woman, the female, has to be in the background, faded. So we do this by working on the furniture placement of your master bedroom, the choice of headboard, and the accessories that you keep. There are two ways in which you can improve your love life with Feng Shui. One is to get a consultation, and the other one is to take a course. We have a course called Feng Shui for Master Bedrooms and Love Relationships, which is basically going to teach you how to Feng Shui your own love life. It is a really great course, and it also comes with a membership to a private Facebook group, a secret group where you can post questions, and it includes other perks. On the page where this video is posted, you will find more information about the course and how to sign up. You are receiving a special discount if you purchase from this page as opposed to if you just go to my website and search for the course. And so take advantage of that. If you are not ready to make the purchase today, I strongly suggest you bookmark the page. This price is available for a limited time, which is listed on this page. If you, for some reason, found this video on YouTube, there's going to be a link so that you can come to the page where you can make the purchase. If you would like to get a consultation, my contact information is also on this page. and you can either email me directly or call me on my cell phone. The main difference between a consultation and a course is the price. Getting a consultation is more costly than taking a course. When you purchase the course, you get a lifetime access to the video course. It does not expire, and so you can go back to it whenever you need to. An advantage of getting a consultation is that you get custom care, and I can help you figure out what is going on in your particular case and what you can do so that your life becomes more open to love. And the advantage of taking the courses is that you get to learn and you become able not just to help yourself but to help others. So it's your choice, but before we finish, I would like to give you a thought. The one you look for is also looking for you. The yearnings you have for love, companionship, and trust are not unique to you. There are guys out there who are looking for the same things that you are looking for and that will feel the same happiness, joy, and contentment with life that you are seeking. And the reason I say guys instead of just saying one guy right now is that I don't believe in the concept of the soulmate because I have seen it destroy the possibility for love for people I know. And I would like you to keep this openness that maybe there's more than one person that you can love and that who can love you, but that life is going to put you in the path of the partner in this lifetime that is the best for you at this time. And that's all that we can ask for. Once you find that love, it is up to you and up to them to continue to love each other and to grow that love. If you purchase the course or get a consultation, you get the report on the 5 most disempowering myths about love. And one of those is the belief that only one person could make you happy. So keep that openness, keep your eyes open, keep your ears interested to find the person. Send out that message to the universe that you are ready to love and be loved, and that you are ready to build a relationship with another person. Instead of focusing on finding your soulmate, look for someone that you can love and who can love you, and work on becoming each other's soulmate. It is a process. I hope you have enjoyed this presentation, and remember to check out my website. If you would like to get a consultation for your home geared especially towards finding love, you can contact me. My contact information is under this webinar, and you can just click on the email link and that will load your email program so you can send me an email. I also have provided my cell phone number so you can call me directly and talk about it. And if you would like to take a course and learn how to do it yourself and maybe help out a few of your exceptional friends, I also have an offer on this page for the Feng Shui Your Own Love Life course and all that it includes. So I encourage you and invite you to explore this course, which may have enormous benefits for you and for your life, so that the next time that you enter a relationship, you do not end up wasting your time.